I died, choking on my own blood. The twisted wreckage of my Tesla pinning me to the dashboard like a goddamn crucifixion. The last thing I saw was Jake's face on the news ticker, smirking. Triumphant. Announcing the $50 million funding round for his startup. The one we'd built together from nothing but caffeine and code in a cramped Palo Alto garage. And then, nothing. Blackness. Until I woke up gasping in my old bed. Sheets tangled around me like a noose. The alarm clock blinking 7:14 a.m. On a date I hadn't seen in 3 years, the morning of the pitch that sealed my fate. My heart hammered like a malfunctioning server, sweat soaking through my tank top as I bolted upright. The room spun, my room, unchanged, posters of indie bands peeling at the edges, the faint scent of stale takeout from last night's burrito binge. I scrambled for my phone, fingers trembling, and there it was, a text from Jake. Dude. Big day. Coffee run before we crush this VC meet.
Crush it. Yeah, right.
That coffee run was where it started, the offhand joke about me being too volatile for the spotlight. The seeds of doubt he'd plant until the investors saw me as the loose cannon and him as the steady hand. By the end of that week, he'd edged me out. Leaked doctored emails painting me as the thief who'd stolen his AI algorithm, and watched as my world imploded in subpoenas and scandals. But this was impossible. I'd flatlined on that rain-slicked Highway 101. The brakes I'd mysteriously tampered with giving out after the lawyers cornered me.
Suicide.
They'd ruled. Convenient.
Now.
Staring at my reflection in the cracked bathroom mirror, 32 again, dark circles under my eyes from too many all-nighters. But alive, I felt the rage bubble up like bad code compiling.
重sinh. Reborn.
Whatever you call it. I wasn't wasting the shot. Jake Hargrove. My best friend since freshman year, at Stanford. The brother I never had, he'd pay. And I'd make sure his empire crumbled from the inside, brick by digital brick. I splashed water on my face, the cold shock grounding me as fragments of the future flooded back. The betrayal hadn't been quick, it was a slow poison. We'd founded Neuralink together, an AI platform that predicted consumer trends with eerie accuracy, think Netflix recommendations on steroids. But for everything from stocks to dating apps. Investors loved it. VCs from Sand Hill Road were throwing term sheets at us like confetti. But Jake? He saw dollar signs and power, not partnership. While I coded through the nights, he schmoozed, whispering to our lead investor, Elena Vasquez, about how I was unstable, prone to erratic decisions. Lies. All of it. The real erratic one was him, hooking up with Elena behind closed doors, trading my equity for her favor. By the time I smelled the smoke, it was too late. The board meeting where they ousted me, Jake's hand on my shoulder, feigning sympathy as Elena slid the non-disclosure across the table. Riley, this is best for the company, he'd said, his voice dripping honey over venom. I'd signed. Broken. Believing the Brotherhood bullshit until the leaks hit the tech blogs, me, accused of plagiarizing code from a rival firm. My name became toxic overnight. Friends ghosted. My fiancée, Sarah, walked out with half my savings, citing irreconcilable stress. And Jake? He pivoted Neuralink into a unicorn, valued at $500 million, while I drowned in debt and despair.
Now.
With a second chance clawing at my throat, I deleted Jake's text without replying. No coffee. No trust. I pulled on jeans and a hoodie, the same ones I'd worn to that fateful pitch, and headed to the garage where our servers hummed like loyal dogs. The code was there, pristine, untouched by the sabotage I'd uncover later. I sat at my desk, fingers flying over the keyboard, embedding a ghost, a subtle backdoor, invisible to audits, that would one day let me pull strings from the shadows. Not destruction yet. Patience. That's what I'd lacked last time, lashing out in emails that only fueled their narrative. This time, I'd play the long game, let them build their tower high, then yank the foundation out. First up, reconnaissance. I drove my beat-up Civic, pre-Tesla days, across the bridge to San Francisco, the fog rolling in like a bad omen. Elena's firm, Apex Ventures, loomed in the financial district, all glass and arrogance. I parked a block away, blending into the lunch rush of suits and baristas. Slipping into the lobby cafe, I nursed a black coffee, eavesdropping on junior analysts buzzing about Neuralink's imminent close. Elena swept in then, power heels clicking, her laugh cutting through the chatter like a knife. She was with Jake on speakerphone, his voice tinny but unmistakable. Tell them it's a sure thing.
Él.
Riley's on board, full support. Liar. But the hook in my gut twisted deeper when I remembered the rest. Their affair wasn't just pillow talk, it was strategy. Elena had buried the due diligence on my patents, rerouting credit to Jake's name. And the kicker? Sarah knew. My Sarah, who'd consoled me through the fallout, only to confess months later, after I'd lost everything, that Jake had been in her ear, planting doubts about my obsession with the company. She'd chosen stability over me, moving in with him by the time I crashed that car. I left the cafe before my hands could shatter the mug, pulse thundering. Back home, I dug into old emails, cross-referencing timestamps with what I knew. There, the first anomaly, a deleted thread from Jake to an offshore account, wiring seed money I'd fronted to a shell company in his name. Petty theft at the start, but it snowballed. By the deal's close, he'd siphoned enough to buy silence from key witnesses. Revenge simmered, but I needed proof. Ironclad. Something to unravel them without touching me. That night, as rain pelted the window, I made my first controversial call.
Sarah.
We'd just gotten engaged, the ring still a fresh weight on her finger. In this timeline, she was pure, blonde curls and optimism, believing in us like code without bugs. But I knew the fracture lines. I texted her, need to talk. Serious. We met at our spot, the dimly lit taqueria in the Mission, mariachi music thumping softly. Riley, what's wrong? Her eyes searched mine, concern etching lines that hadn't deepened yet. I leaned in, voice low. Jake's playing us. Both of us. I can't explain how I know, but he's been moving money, talking shit behind my back. She laughed, nervous. Come on. He's your best friend. You're stressed from the pitch. Trust me. The words burned. In the old life, I'd begged her to trust me too late.
Now,
I had to accelerate. Break it off with the wedding plans until I sort this. And don't tell him we talked. Her face crumpled. Riley, this is crazy. You're scaring me. Good. Fear was the spark. As she stormed out, tears streaking her mascara, I felt the first crack in my resolve. Was I saving her or dooming us? The betrayal had twisted me, made me question every bond. But if I didn't act, history repeated. I drove home in the downpour, the wipers slashing like accusations. Sleep came fitful. Dreams of twisted metal and Jake's grin morphing into the rear view as I accelerated toward the cliff. Morning brought clarity and action. The pitch was at 2 p.m. I showed up early, slipping into the conference room at the St. Regis, where VCs mingled over craft IPAs. Jake arrived flustered. "Ty askew. Riley, where have you been? Man, thought you bailed."
Traffic, I lied.
Clapping his shoulder a little too hard. Elena entered then, all smiles and shark eyes, handing out agendas. Our demo went flawless, my algorithm predicting market dips with 98% accuracy. The room erupting in applause. But as handshakes turned to sidebars, I caught it, Jake pulling Elena aside, murmuring about contingencies. I excused myself to the restroom, planting my phone's recorder in the vent, crude, but effective in this pre-smart era. Back in my seat, I played the ally, toasting to our future. That night, replaying the audio, I hit gold, Jake's voice.
Oily.
Once the wire's clear, we phase her out. Say, she had a breakdown, docs are ready. Her.
Me.
Elena's chuckle. You're ruthless? Hargrove. I like it. Ruthless. The word echoed as I stared at the ceiling.
Plotting.
My backdoor code was live now. A sleeper agent in their cloud. But revenge wasn't just tech, it was personal. Sarah called at midnight. Voice shaky. I confronted him. He denied everything. But Riley. He looked guilty. Stay away, I said. Pack a bag if you have to. She hesitated. What are you going to do? End it. The line went dead. In the silence, doubt crept in. This path was darker than I'd imagined, forcing choices that could shatter innocence. But Jake's empire? It was rising. And I was the ghost in the machine, waiting. Weeks blurred into a haze of feigned camaraderie and midnight hacks. Neuralink's buzz grew deafening, TechCrunch profiles, podcast spots, Jake's face plastered on billboards from Soma to Silicon Beach. I played my part, the loyal co-founder, showing up to team dinners with a smile that didn't reach my eyes, all while siphoning data through my back door. Every keystroke Jake made, every email to Elena, flowed to my encrypted drive like blood from a vein. The evidence piled up, falsified logs crediting my innovations to ghost devs on his payroll, kickbacks funneled through Cayman accounts, even whispers of insider trading tips to Elena's inner circle. But the real poison? The personal rot. I'd always known Jake resented me, deep down, since college, when my app went viral while his fizzled. Stanford dorms, late nights coding while he chased sorority girls. I'd pulled him into Neuralink out of pity, or so he spun it in therapy sessions I'd eavesdropped on later.
No.
It was envy, festering into sabotage. And Sarah? She'd been collateral from the start. In the old timeline, after the ouster, Jake comforted her at a bar I couldn't afford to enter anymore. Their affair started as rebounds, but evolved into something uglier, her feeding him dirt on my breakdowns, him promising the life I couldn't give.
Now.
With foreknowledge as my weapon, I moved like a shadow. I leaked anonymous tips to a blogger at Valleywag. Nothing damning yet, just enough to seed doubt. Sources say Neuralink's co-founder Riley Kane is the real brain, Hargrove's just the hype man. Jake laughed it off publicly. But privately, his emails to Elena turned frantic. We need to accelerate the buyout. She's getting ideas. Buyout. That's what they called it, a golden parachute laced with NDAs and gag orders. Last time, desperation made me sign. This time,
Hell no.
I countered with misdirection. Feeding false leads to a PI I'd hired under a fake name. The guy, ex-cop named Torres, dug up Jake's skeletons, a DUI cover-up from college, paid off with Daddy's real estate money, an ex-girlfriend's settlement for harassment, buried in arbitration. Juicy, but not the kill shot. I needed the deal itself to implode. The controversy hit at the all-hands at Blue Bottle HQ, a converted warehouse in Oakland pulsing with startup energy, neon signs, ping-pong tables, kombucha on tap. Jake unveiled the term sheet, $50 million from Apex, valuing us at $200 mil post-money. Cheers erupted. High fives all around. I stood at the back, nursing a seltzer, watching Elena slip him a key card for the Fairmont later. That's when I dropped the first bomb. Slipping into the server room during the cake cutting, I triggered a low-level glitch, nothing catastrophic, just enough to corrupt the demo dataset. By morning, the VC's due diligence flagged anomalies, inflated user metrics, phantom growth. Elena called an emergency huddle, her voice on the line taut as a wire. Jake. What the fuck? This looks manipulated. It's Riley, he shot back, not missing a beat. She's been off lately, paranoid rants about conspiracies.
Me?
Paranoid? The irony burned hotter than bad ramen. I let it simmer, showing up to the meeting with wide eyes and apologies. Guys, if there's an issue, let's fix it. Team first. Elena eyed me like a glitch in her portfolio, but Jake's nod was too eager, sealing his narrative. Whispers spread. Riley's unstable again. Sarah was fracturing under the strain. We'd paused the wedding. Her bridesmaids texting passive-aggressive memes about cold feet. One night, she showed up at my door, rain-soaked and furious. Jake said you're sabotaging the deal to spite him. Is it true? I pulled her inside, the apartment smelling of instant noodles and regret. He's lying to save his ass. Look. I showed her the drive, screenshots of his emails, the offshore wires. Her face drained of color, hand flying to her mouth. Oh God. Riley. We trusted him. We did. I cupped her face, thumb brushing a tear.
But now?
We fight back. It was the closest we'd come to intimacy since the rebirth, her body pressing against mine in desperation more than desire. We made love that night, frantic and raw, but dawn brought the cost, her eyes hollow, whispering, what if we just walk away, start over somewhere else? Tempting. But walking meant letting him win. Not yet, I murmured. The decision hung heavy, dragging her into this war, risking the innocence I'd lost. Controversial? Hell yes. Love shouldn't be leverage. But in this game, everything was. The pushback escalated. Jake cornered me in the parking garage post-meeting, his beamer idling like a predator. What's your angle? You trying to tank us? I leaned against my Civic. Casual. Just protecting my shares.
Bro.
You know how it is. His jaw clenched, eyes darting to the shadows. Don't fuck with me. Elena's on edge, one wrong move, and you're out. Out. I chuckled.
Low.
Like last time? He froze, then recovered with a shove. Watch yourself. The threat lingered as he peeled out, tires screeching. That's when I knew he sensed the shift, the predator becoming prey. My next play was riskier, ethical gray zone, the kind that keeps you up at night. Through Torres, I traced Jake's shell company to a Cayman fixer named Raul, a ghost in the machine of money laundering. A wire, untraceable, from a burner account, offered Raul double to flip. Leak the docs on Hargrove, it read. Or the IRS gets your client list. Blackmail. The word tasted like ash, but necessity over niceties. Raul bit. And 48 hours later, a nondescript envelope arrived at my P.O. box. Ledgers. Timestamps. Jake's signature on embezzlement trails. Armed, I prepped the kill switch. Not total wipe, too obvious. Instead, a timed cascade, alter financial projections, seed false compliance flags, trigger regulatory audits. All activated on the deal's close date, 3 months out. In the interim, I played double agent, bolstering Jake's confidence with loyal fixes while Sarah and I rebuilt in secret. We moved her out of our shared lease, into a sublet under her maiden name. For safety, I said. She nodded, but the trust fracture showed. Nights she'd stare at the ceiling, murmuring about normalcy. Controversy peaked at a gala for Tech for Good, black-tie schmoozers in the Palace of Fine Arts, rotunda echoing with champagne flutes. Jake and Elena were the power couple du jour, arm in arm, posing for Wired photographers. I crashed solo, tux rented, Sarah home with a migraine I'd insured by accidentally forwarding Jake's latest lie to her inbox. Spotting me, he waved me over. Grin plastic. Riley, join the winner's circle. Elena arched a brow, her red gown a slash of warning. Glad you could make it, Riley. Despite the hiccups, I sip my scotch, eyes on Jake. Water under the bridge. To empires. The toast masked the venom. As the night wore on, I cornered Raoul's contact, a jittery accountant named Lena, poached from the Caymans for consulting. Over oysters in a shadowed alcove, I slid her a USB. This gets you whistleblower status, immunity, and a cut of the fallout. She pocketed it. Voice a whisper. Hargrove's dirty, but you're no saint. This blows up everyone, including me. I pressed. Collateral. Her eyes flicked to Elena, laughing across the room. Worth it. For the $50 mill they'd stolen? For the life? Every penny. But as I watched Sarah's empty seat in my mind's eye, doubt gnawed. Was I avenging or annihilating? The line blurred. Decision stacking like unstable code. Backlash hit fast. Jake's paranoia ramped, security cams in the office. My access audited daily. He confronted Sarah at brunch. I learned later from her tearful call. Tell Riley to back off, or we're done as friends. She hung up on him, but the damage seeped. Our lovemaking turned tentative. Conversations laced with what-ifs. If this destroys him, she said one night, tracing my scars from a long-ago bike crash, what's left of us? Us, I lied. But inside, the machine whirred, countdown ticking. The empire swelled, press tours, keynotes, but cracks spiderwebbed, a SEC whisper campaign, Elena's hesitations on wire transfers. Jake doubled down, proposing a restructure that neutered my role. I signed, smiling, knowing the trap was set. Then, the twist gutted me. Hacking Elena's phone for leverage, I uncovered the buried secret, not just affair, not just theft. Jake hadn't acted alone. In the old life, Post-crash, investigators found anomalies. A rival firm, Quantum Dynamics, had funded the brake job on my Tesla. Payback for stealing talent?
No.
Deeper. I'd poached their lead engineer in year one, a kid named Marco who died in a lab fire 6 months later. Faulty wiring.
Relais accident.
But the logs I'd ignored then screamed negligence. My rushed prototype. Corner cutting to beat deadlines. Guilt crashed like a server farm. My crime.
John Doe.
The secret I'd buried under ambition. Jake knew. Used it as leverage with Quantum, trading my sabotage for their silence. The betrayal was mutual. I'd built on bones, even if unintentional. Staring at the files, rain lashing my window, I questioned everything. Revenge now tasted tainted, my hands as bloody as his. The revelation hit like a DDoS attack, flooding my circuits with static.
Me.
The villain in my own origin story? Marco's face haunted me, 25. Eager. With that crooked grin during whiteboard sessions. I'd pushed the prototype. Skimped on safety checks to wow early investors. Innovation demands risk, I justified. The fire took him, and I'd mourned briefly before burying the report in a lessons learned folder no one read. Jake found it, weaponized it, selling me out to Quantum for a blind eye on their antitrust probes. The $50 mill deal? It was blood money, layered on my original sin. Nausea roiled as I paced the apartment, Sarah asleep in the next room. Telling her would shatter the fragile peace we'd clawed back, dinners at hole-in-the-wall faux spots, lazy Sundays debugging code together. But silence was complicity. Dawn broke gray, and I brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint. "We need to talk," I said when she stirred, handing her the mug. Her eyes widened at the screen. Marco's obit. The redacted OSHA report. "Riley, this is on you." "Negligence," I admitted, voice cracking. I was cocky, chasing the dream. Jake twisted it into a noose. She set the mug down, hands trembling. "And now, you're doing the same, twisting lives for payback." The accusation landed like a gut punch. Controversial didn't cover it. This was moral quicksand. "I'm fixing it," I insisted. "Exposing them saves others. Or destroys you." She stood, grabbing her coat. "I love you.
But this.
It's poison." The door clicked shut behind her, echoing like a final commit. Alone, I sank to the floor, the weight of 2 lives pressing down. Rebirth wasn't absolution, it was reckoning. But momentum was a freight train. The deal close loomed 2 weeks out. Vegas for the signing, glitz masking the grime. Jake invited me. One last hurrah, his email laced with false warmth. I went, packing the USB like a loaded gun. The strip pulsed neon fever. Bellagio fountains dancing as we checked into the penthouse suite, courtesy of Apex. Elena was there, all business in pencil skirts, but her glances at Jake held heat and hesitation. Whispers of the audit flags had her on edge. Quantum shadows loomed larger now. Poolside that afternoon, under cabanas dripping with excess, Jake cornered me again. "Heard from Sarah. She's ghosting you."
Huh?
My advice? Let it go. Focus on the win.
When?
I swirled my mojito, ice clinking like handcuffs. "For who?" He leaned in, breath boozy. "For us." Always has been. The lie hung. And in that moment, I saw the boy from Stanford, scared, scrambling. But fear didn't excuse monstrosity. Night fell. The sweet haze of Dom Perignon and Deal Euphoria. As Jake and Elena slipped away for private talks, I jimmied the safe, child's play with my picks, grabbing the draft contracts. Annotations screamed theft. My IP clauses gutted. Royalties rerouted. I photographed it all. Then triggered Phase 1, anonymous SEC tip from a VPN in Estonia, attaching Raoul's ledgers. By morning, the wire transfer froze mid-flight. Panic erupted at breakfast. Elena's phone blew up, face ashen. The feds are sniffing insider trades, offshore bullshit. Jake. Who tipped them? He shot me a glare across the buffet. Bacon forgotten. Probably a disgruntled dev. We contain it. I feigned shock. Jesus.
Man.
What now? Damage control. He dragged me to the suite, Elena pacing like a caged panther. Riley, you're clean, right? No side plays.
Clean as code. I lied.
Heart pounding. The real play waited. The gala that night. A tech summit black tie affair in the Cosmopolitan's chandeliered ballroom. VCs. Journos. The elites swirling in tuxes and gowns. Jake was keynote, touting Neuralink as the future of trust in AI. Irony dripped. I slipped Torres the final packet, Marco's report, cross-linked to Quantum's payoffs. Drop it tonight, I instructed. Front page. Anonymous source. He nodded, vanishing into the crowd. As Jake took the stage, spotlights hot, I watched from the bar. Sarah's absence a void. Text from her. Watch the stream. Be careful. I still believe in you. The words anchored me as Jake droned. Innovation isn't zero-sum. It's about lifting each other. Laughter rippled. I stifled a snort. Then, chaos. Phones buzzing. A journalist bolting from the crowd. Wired's feed exploding on screens. Breaking, Neuralink funding halted amid embezzlement probe. Co-founder Riley Kane cleared, Hargrove implicated in IP fraud. Gasps rippled. Jake faltered mid-sentence. Mic feedback screeching like a death knell. Elena stormed the stage, yanking him aside as flashes popped. Security swarmed. I melted into the throng, pulse racing. The twist hit via Torres's call. Quantum's flipping too. Your engineer's death? They covered for you back then, paid off inspectors. Jake brokered it all. My sin. Absolved in layers of their corruption. Not innocent. But not alone. Relief warred with nausea as sirens wailed outside, feds closing in. Jake found me in the lobby, wild-eyed, collar undone. You did this. You fucking traitor. Traitor? I stepped close. Voice steel. You killed me.
Jake.
Twice. His face crumpled. Recognition? No. Just rage. It was business. You were weak, always the idealist. And you? The climber. A punch connected, his fist glancing my jaw. But I held. Enjoy the fall. Cops hauled him as Elena vanished into a town car, her empire teetering. The $50 mill evaporated. Neuralink stock tanked pre-IPO. Servers seized. I slipped out, Vegas lights blurring, driving into the desert night. Sarah waited at a diner off I-15, pie cooling untouched. It's over, she asked, eyes searching. Almost. I slid the ring across the table, not hers. A new one. Simple gold. We start clean. No empires. Just us. She slipped it on. Tentative smile breaking. Clean how? Therapy. Transparency. And maybe a smaller dream. The words felt foreign, but true. Revenge had hollowed me, exposed the rot in my code. But rebirth? It offered rewrite. Months later, headlines faded. Jake plea bargained. 5 years white collar in FCI Lompoc. Elena's fund shuddered amid lawsuits. Quantum crumbled under scrutiny. Their secrets spilling like bad data.
Me?
I open-sourced the core algorithm, Neuralink's heart, under a foundation for ethical AI. Marco's name etched in the license. Sarah and I married quiet. In a big Sir Chapel. Waves crashing like applause. The drive back from the desert. Wind whipping. I glanced at the rear view. No twisted metal.
Noise Mirk.
Just horizon. Endless. Their empire collapsed. Mine rebuilt from ashes. Not perfect. Not painless. But mine.